Tonight on Chronicle, from the adrenaline rush at the starting line to the struggles of Heartbreak Hill to the euphoria of crossing the iconic finishing line, over 300 Granite Staters took the 26.2-mile challenge today, and tonight they are celebrating.
From the hallowed halls of the place with the familiar green monster, live from the after party at Fenway Park, this is New Hampshire Chronicle at the Boston Marathon.
After all that running, you got to have a party, right? Good evening, everybody. No need to adjust your TV. It's still us, Aaron and Sean, but we're not exactly coming to you from New Hampshire.
No, we're at Fenway Park. As you can see, we have the green monster behind us, and we are here for the post-race party, which is hosted by the Boston Athletic Association. What a day it has been. Over 380 runners and athletes from New Hampshire taking part in the Boston Marathon. And this is the big party. I think we have a lot of sore legs out there and feet.
People sitting down, I think. But look behind us. That mist you're seeing, that was kind of the conditions for today. Let's talk about the weather. It started off as kind of this mist, and then they had downpours out on the course at times. So really tough if you were a spectator. But actually for the runners, not all that bad. They like it when it's cool like this.
Normally in New England, you say you wait a little while and the weather will change. Today it never changed. It was like this all day long. But I think everyone in New England, you know, feels a connection to the Boston Marathon. Maybe you've actually done a marathon, or you know someone who's running it, or you've donated to a charity.
Yeah, it really was an amazing day. Here are some of the sights and sounds from today.
It is a local, it is a national, and it is a global event all at once.
It's good versus evil, and we have to do good things in order to conquer evil, and that's what we're doing today.
A lot of emotion, a lot of memories just came through my mind, you know, especially what happened 10 years ago.
Whether you're in the first or last place, the crowds here are rain and shine, always there to support you.
This is my first Boston Marathon. This is insane. This is awesome.
High five the kids, pet the dogs, and just try not to cry too much.
You're just about to the finish line.
I just love to run, so I got that joy back today.
And we have a very close connection to one of the runners that was out there pounding the pavement today, Kevin Skarupa.
Yeah, a lot of folks have been asking, how did Kevin do? Did he finish? Well, Kevin Skarupa finished just before 6 o'clock tonight. He did it in 6 hours and 29 minutes. Not exactly the time he was hoping for, but he was out there throughout the day working so hard, and he finally finished.
And we couldn't be more proud of him. He was raising money for Waypoint, and we want to thank everyone for their generosity, because this morning he had raised $22,000 during the race while he was running. He raised another $5,000 thanks to all the generous Granite Staters out there. Of course, that money going to Waypoint. It will stay in New Hampshire, and it helps the elderly, foster families, and those that are disadvantaged.
You know what? We are so proud of him. We're so proud of Kevin after doing that 6.5 hours out there in the course. Why don't you take tomorrow off, Kevin? Rest those legs up, watch some TV tomorrow, sit down on the couch, but make sure you're back for Wednesday on Daybreak,
yeah,
okay?
I mean, he's earned a day off, right?
Sure
we've gotten a chance to meet so many great Granite Staters and hear about their reasons for running this marathon. One of those people is Susan Marsh from Stratham. 10 years ago, when she did this marathon, she wasn't able to finish, and today she made an emotional return.
I spend a lot of time wondering, you know, why were we the lucky ones?
10 years ago, Stratham mom of 3, Susan Marsh, was almost at the finish line when the first bomb went off. Her family was directly across the street.
I saw holes and kind of shattered glass in the buildings, but I thought originally that was some sort of fireworks that went off. And then when the second one went off, that's when everyone really, you know, started scrambling.
Immediately there was a lot of panic in the crowd. Everyone was moving around, screaming.
Susan had earned VIP seats for her family thanks to her fundraising efforts. A mile from the finish line, she learned they were just feet from that first blast.
I just dropped to my knees at that point. and I just prayed a lot. And I made a lot of promises that day.
Obviously, it was a pretty surreal experience for us, but it was a life-changing experience for other families.
I said, if they're okay, I will just be the best mom that I can be. And it would be hours and many miles before I knew they were okay.
In the years that followed, the family avoided fireworks.
Just any loud noises just put a lot of fear in me. To this day, fireworks still affect me a little bit.
Susan admits she had lost her love of running, but as the 10-year mark approached, she made the decision to run Boston again, and this time with oldest son PJ at her side.
Seeing how strong she was that day and then her deciding she wanted to do it again, I knew that it's something I wanted to be part of.
Honestly, I just want these guys to never live in fear. And so we're coming back to face our fears and to do it again. And I just want them to live their best lives.
I think it's amazing that they are doing this 10 years later.
Our prayers were answered, but there are other families whose prayers weren't answered that day, and my heart breaks for them.
For Susan, crossing the finish line is a new start.
Hopefully we're going to create some new and happy memories together as a family that we can focus on.
And they have made new memories today, both PJ and Susan crossing the finish line. They had times that they were pretty happy with. Of course, now they're a little bit sore, but we caught up with them after the race.
It feels amazing to be done. It was a lot harder than I remember. I think I blocked it out.
What are your emotions doing right now?
You know what? I'm so excited because PJ and I set some goals to fundraise, and we met our goals, and we finished this. We have new memories together, and we accomplished everything we hoped to accomplish.
Welcome back to Fenway Park, everybody. A live look at some of the party goers, some of the runners who had a chance to come into Fenway Park after the race. Even though they have sore legs, they can walk around and kind of see Fenway Park up close and personal.
And they have to celebrate. I mean, they have been training for months and months, some of them 6 months or more for this day. And once it's over, I'm sure they just want to have a party.
I think what's amazing to me is they were coming in the finish line there in the pouring rain. Most of them still smiling. They were just thrilled to be there.
And then you have those that were struggling a little bit, and it's always so powerful to see those other runners, you know, grabbing someone's arm
Rooting
and
them on,
helping them over the finish line because, you know, once again, they've trained so long for that. We do want to introduce you to another person who was in the marathon today, an inspiring athlete, Eric Corbett. Lost the use of his legs after he was in a car crash in 2000, and now he's turned his passion to adaptive sports.
Yeah, and he's really gotten into it. He finished 6th in the monoski event in the X Games a few years back. I had a chance to meet up with him while he was training about a month ago. There was still, by the way, snow on the ground there in North Conway. He was training, and he still needed to get the day off for the race. It may be one of the hardest places to train for a road race, but the steep roads around North Conway is exactly where you'll find Eric Corbett. Do you feel like practicing in the mountains will allow you to excel in Boston?
I hope so. I'm pretty comfortable coming down the mountain passes, and Boston is a fast course.
By day, he works as a paraprofessional at Kennett High School, but when time allows, Corbett hops into his hand cycle to train for the Boston Marathon. What are you looking forward to most in the Boston Marathon?
It's a tremendous opportunity to get adaptive sports out in front of a lot of people.
Eric Corbett grew up playing hockey and riding mountain bikes. But in January of 2000, at 20 years old, he damaged his spine in a car crash. The message from doctors was not good.
If you do enough damage to your central nervous system, there's not much doctors or surgeons can do. So
Eric was paralyzed from the waist down. Despite his injury, he continued to do his favorite sports with adapted equipment, even competed in the Winter X Games. But one sporting event stuck out, the Boston Marathon.
I remember watching the race when I was in rehab after breaking my back in 2000, that spring, seeing it on TV, and it was always kind of in the background growing up.
He would go on to complete the Boston Marathon in 2005 in what's called a race wheelchair. When he moved to the North Conway area, Eric switched to this hand cycle because it's easier to ride the steep hills.
I can average, 19, 20, 21 miles an hour on flat ground. I don't see a whole lot of that here in the White Mountains, though.
Now, 18 years after his first Boston Marathon, Eric is training for his second go-round. Thanks to winter storms that have him snow-blowing his driveway, Eric does mostly indoor training. But more and more, he's been out on the road, training for the biggest event in New England. Many had no idea he was doing.
Wait, they don't know you're doing the marathon?
A few people do, but not too many. Just the people I had to tell to get the day off from work.
Well, guess what? They know that he did it now.
Yeah.
But I love that. But he didn't share that with, he's at Kennett High School as a paraprofessional. We got to see him start the race, which was so cool.
It was kind of neat to see him start the race. By the way, he did manage to finish today in exactly what he predicted, 1 hour and 30 minutes at 11 a.m. on the dot. He was 10th place amongst men hand cyclists. So he did really well today, exactly what he expected. Apparently those White Mountain hills got him ready. Here's what he said.
Helped him out.
How did it feel?
Oh, fast. Real fast. Great day, a little rainy, but it's better than hot. So.
There you go. How'd the bike hold up?
Really well. I did this 18 years ago in a racing chair. It had some mechanical issues, so I'm just happy to finish without having to stop at a gas station for help.
How's it hold up to the Conway Hills?
It's about the same coming down the keg. It's similar. A few more uphills here, but not too much different than the White Mountains.
Maybe you can hear behind us, back live here at the Boston Marathon after party at the famous Fenway Park, where it continues to kind of drizzle down.
Yeah, it's kind of kicking into high gear. I think people are having a good time out there.
It is not letting up. Here's somebody we did see in Hopkinton today. It's not every day that you see a unicorn running a marathon, but Yuki Chorney of Mount Vernon makes it happen. She designs and runs in these really elaborate costumes, all for the fun of it.
And we saw her today, and today she was hoping to add a 20th marathon medal to her collection. Meet Yuki Chorney, otherwise known as Yuki Corn. A sprinter in high school and college, this runner didn't start going the distance until after graduation and swiftly became hooked.
I have become a marathon maniac. I love that distance. I love any distance. I just love running, just whether it's a 1 mile race or a 100-mile race.
42 marathons and 22 ultra marathons later, at the age of 51, Yuki ran her 20th Boston Marathon today.
I wanted to have the flames kind of coming up here. I wanted the dress to have, some loose, like chiffon, kind of fiery looking, and to have the arm sleeves look like blue and yellow flames.
The Mount Vernon mom ran and dressed up in dozens of races this year, but she says none of them are as dear to her as Boston.
My first Boston Marathon was 1998 with my dad. He was running it, and it was going to be my first year, and we decided we were going to run the whole thing together from start to finish.
Her dad, no longer racing by her side, cheers her on along the route with the rest of the family.
I never want that day to end. It's the whole day. It's from the minute I wake up. I almost don't even want to go to this finish line because I know that once I cross the finish line, it's back to reality.
Can you imagine doing that, a marathon, and getting to the finish line and being like, I don't want to cross it. I don't want this day to end.
No, I can't imagine that.
But you get to see what she wore on the race course today because she did it. She got her 20th Boston Marathon medal, and she did it in 3 hours and 46 minutes.
Which is a really good time. Yuki told us, it's kind of neat that so many people along the race route saw her story on New Hampshire Chronicle, and they were rooting her on, pushing her along the way. She also said it was a rather emotional day for her.
Number 20.
I did it.
You did it. How does it feel?
It feels really nice.
It should.
I can't talk about it because it was like crossing that finish line. It was just so emotional.
You know, you said when we talked last time that you don't like crossing the finish line as much because
it's over. Yeah, it's over.
Were there any highlights to the day?
The highlight was getting hugs from a whole bunch of little kids. That made my day. That really made my day.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yes.
She says she wants to do another 10 marathons. And today, by the way, tonight, what do you do after you run a marathon? You go to the Bruins game. That's where she is tonight. She's at the Bruins game.
Hopefully she's sitting down watching the game. More from Fenway Park after this.